Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we'll be editing the same photo, but in two different ways. Let's get into it. Editing for me has become such a huge part of my process. Honestly, if we're talking about like percentages, I feel like I probably spend like 10% of the time out shooting and the other 90% is me behind the computer. And I feel like when you go to edit a photo, it can be a pretty stressful experience because there's so many different decisions you can make for a singular photo. Do you want your photo to look super cinematic and moody? Do you want it to be kind of fun and playful and saturated? All these small little tweaks can really make a big impact on how your final photo looks. So today I wanted to walk through exactly how we can come out with two different looks and feels just from one simple singular photo. I also recently introduced a new device into my editing workflow, and I have it right here today. It is the Loupedeck CT, and this video is actually sponsored by Loupedeck, so a huge thank you to them. They actually sent this over a few months back, but I just wanted to get a good feel for how it works. I'm really consistent within the way that I edit, so adding in a new kind of console was a little bit scary, but this has really made my editing workflow like that much quicker. So it's a console used for editing and color grading specifically. And the coolest part about it is that it has a highly adaptable and customizable interface. So you can work across whichever program you use to edit your own photos. For programs that are within the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite and Final Cut Pro, there's built-in default profiles, so you can get started right away. I'm constantly using adjustment layers like curves and selective color. So within mine, I've customized them to be right in the front so I can easily access them. It's also super compact. I just got back from Europe and I brought this along with me just to see if I could really edit with it on the go. And it blended in really well within my already existing kind of setup. So I'll definitely be leaving some more information in the description down below about the Loupedeck CT and their other consoles as well, if you're interested. But let's dive right into the first edit. This photo is of my friend Charlotte. It was taken around Brooklyn Bridge Park, which is a super scenic spot that overviews kind of the Manhattan Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge. So let's open this one up into Adobe Camera Raw to begin with, and we'll see where we go from here. I don't really have any intention behind these edits. I just know I want them to be very different. All right, so we opened up the photo into Adobe Camera Raw. This is definitely my favorite way to start an edit because we can change up the entirety of the raw image from basically like we're still inside the camera. I shoot all of my images in RAW for exactly this reason, so if you've ever seen an editing tutorial from me, you know this is how I start every single time. And then from here I go through every single panel making really small and detailed tweaks. The Loupedeck here does support Camera Raw, so I made sure to customize my shortcuts to my liking. But what's also super cool is I can use the dials here to change up each of these sliders. I've always been really tedious with this because a slight change can really make all the difference. So now it's really cool to be in more control than ever. You can also use these dials within Photoshop itself. For me, I like to use them to change up the size and the hardness of my brush. But there's a ton of green across this image because of the grass here, and because of that, it's starting to reflect a little bit onto the model. So I'm heading into the color grading panel to play with the midtones and highlights to bring back in some more natural skin tones. So when you yourself are editing and shooting, just kind of be aware of what colors are surrounding your subjects. And then sometimes when we're kind of close up here in that fit to screen mode, we can kind of miss out on the big picture. So I'm just kind of zooming in and out on the Loupedeck here just to get a better idea of what we're looking at. Now that we're in Adobe Photoshop, you guys know this, but I always start by unlocking my layer and duplicating it. With the Loupedeck here, I've created a custom action to duplicate whatever layer is selected because I find myself doing this a lot. So with just a few clicks here, I'm duplicating just a million layers at once. The first thing I always do within my edits is begin to edit out distracting elements. I found that doing this first lays a really good foundation for the rest of the edit, because then from there we can color correct and add different overlays without having to worry about all of these random people in the background. And with that, when you're taking photos in New York or just even in public in some kind of park, getting people in the background just becomes pretty unavoidable unless you're like renting out a whole location, which we're not doing today. So you just kind of have to be okay with it and be down to kind of edit them out later if that's something that annoys you. Because we're switching from the patch tool to content aware for these selections, the Loupedeck is really key here for working efficiently because we can kind of just click back and forth. So if there is anything that you want to edit out, I would just recommend doing it all at once. From here, I'm just patching up some of the skin really quick, and then we can move to some more fun stuff like the color correction. Just creating a 50% gray layer to be able to non-destructively dodge and burn over some parts of the image that I want to pop more. I'm opening up Liquify now to make some small tweaks to the hill that Charlotte's sitting on. And again, these are just very minor adjustments, but I promise in the end, going out of your way to make these changes really helps the end result. And I feel like for this edit, I kind of want to keep the colors feeling summery and bright. I want to make this one feel like you can kind of smell the grass and feel the air in the photo. Adding some more adjustment layers like a very subtle gradient map, levels, and curves can really help just pull that vision home. Here we're going to duplicate all our layers and combine them into one so we can start to play with some presets in Camera Raw. For this, I'm aiming for something that feels just kind of sunny and warm. After some more final adjustments, we're going to save this image and send it to our phone to play even more with the tones here. So I'm going to open Visco and play around with some of the filters. The filter A9 has really been a go-to for adding that kind of last signature pop. And then of course I always find myself playing even more with the tint and the temperature. Moving on to the next edit here, what we're actually going to do is work off that existing layer. I do want this photo to feel completely different from the first one, but I don't want to have to completely restart and have to edit out all those people again. So we're just going to hide some of those previous layers and create some new hue and saturation adjustment layers because I really want this edit to feel more whimsical and out there. And I think the key to this will be changing the color of the grass. Going all the way from green to red is a bit tough. So to do this, we need to work with a lot of different adjustment layers and overlay them so they really start to build upon each other. Whenever you're changing up an entire color like this, you just want to keep note of other parts of your image like our subject, the sky, and the buildings. We're of course making something look super unnatural like changing grass from green to red, but that doesn't mean we want everything to look this way. Now that we have like 20 selective color adjustment layers, we can start to mask some of Charlotte's skin to bring back more of the natural color. And the cool thing about this is we only have to do it once because we can just copy and paste the mask onto the other layers. Once again here, just duplicating the layers to combine them. I really want to play with presets this time around to make the image feel more cinematic. Whenever I'm playing with colors to make them look a little bit more outrageous, it helps a lot to tone down the entire image with more kind of crushed blacks and make it feel a little bit more mature than it actually is. A few more tweaks and then we're sending this image to our phone like the previous one to add another VSCO preset. Alright, and there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed both of the photos that we edited together. If you have a favorite, be sure to comment down below. I would love to know your thoughts. This was definitely fun for me because I feel like I'm very used to editing in my own particular way. So it was cool to kind of step out of the box for a second, and maybe this challenged you guys to do the same. If you guys end up editing your own photo 2 different ways, be sure to post it and tag me because I'd love to see them. And then another huge thank you to Loupedeck for sponsoring this video and making it possible for you to watch. With all of that, I will see you guys soon.